Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, podcast where we talk about pop culture things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. I'm having a pretty good start to the week. A little hectic, but manageable. So, you know, it is
Yeah,
what it is.
right. Hectic, but it's a Monday to be expected. The craziness, right? And it'll just get better from here. I
Yes,
hope.
only
Yeah.
up.
Hmm. But yeah, we're back. It's been a minute. Sorry for the little bit of delay. We didn't get our normal anime podcast in this last week because this idiot right here, pointing at myself, didn't hit flippin' go live, and so we did
Uh,
it. Andrea, Phil, and I did a nice
yep.
show talking about about Jujutsu Kaisen, and that was just gone. The
I
ephemeral
mean,
nature of life was just,
it was the
represented.
shortest it was the shortest podcast we'd ever done. So truly, like, no one will ever know that we're capable of keeping it short and reining it in. It
Keeping
was
it
meant to
tight.
be because yeah, we just can't do that. The universe was like, no, your pods need to be at least 2 plus.
The
So
universe was, yeah, that's correct, because then, like, no other time worked out for anyone, and then I
mhm.
was, like, too lazy slash busy, mostly lazy, I suppose, to, like, get something else out, so apologies
Or put
there.
on wigs and reenact our conversation like someone
Well,
cool suggested.
we could all yeah, we'll switch roles,
Yes.
It sounds good. Draw straws
Uh,
for who's gonna be who. Mhm.
I feel like I it wouldn't be fair for me to pick you because we've spent so much time together on the pod. Like, I would have to be Phil. Like, we'd have to rotate it around so that,
Okay.
you know.
Well, then Phil see, but then Phil is me, so then Phil has to host. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
that'd be the wild card right there. John's
Yep.
like, "Oh god, the control's slipping out of my fingers. No."
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, anyways, sorry about that. We will be back next week with Jujutsu
Mhm.
Kaisen. We're not skipping ahead. We'll cover what we did before and the next two episodes. So it'll just be a bigger chunk of episodes. Just like kind of today, really. We're gonna be talking later about Castlevania Nocturne from Netflix. And often we do two episodes at a time, but being Phil had watched through episode 6, we watched through episode 6, and then he bailed on us. So, Phil, I know
Phil,
you're gonna
Phil,
hear
Phil.
this, and putting the shame out there. Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll get into that later. And yeah, yeah, a couple news stories. I kind of want to just like they're larger topics in general. I want to get
Mhm.
your thoughts on that maybe, and then drinks. We should really kick it off with drink holidays. Got a number of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we have a couple, a kind of a random assortment, if you will. Um, kinda when I when I looked at it, it kinda reminded me of the wildflower bouquet you get at the grocery store where it's just like, this
Mm,
is very, like, I have a daisy, a rose, a tulip over here, like, what the hell is going on? So with that introduction,
yeah,
October has kicked off, with, I think, one other holiday that was, like, October 1st, but October 3rd was World Smoothie Day. So
you
if
broke
you're,
up. Was that World what Day?
World Smoothie Day.
Mm,
So
smoothie.
if
All right.
if you're feeling health conscious or in need of a refreshing fruit blended beverage, that is your day. I suppose you could combine it with the following day, which October 4th was Vodka Day. So you could do
All right.
vodka smoothies. I know those are
Yeah.
out there, adult smoothies. I
Hmm.
think I've had one before. Not really positive, but I'm pretty sure I have.
Speaking of fruit for a moment, like, have you ever had a Korean melon?
No.
So there's sort of like small footballs. They're kind of yellow orangish, and
Okay.
they taste like cantaloupe, but have the
Okay.
texture and consistency of like cucumber. They look kind of like a cucumber on the inside, even the seeds and all that stuff, but it tastes like
But it
cantaloupe.
tastes like cantaloupe. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a
So
delicious thing that you wish to bring to
I
the
like
attention
it.
of the
I really
world?
didn't know what I had never heard of it. I was like, well, Korean melon, I gotta try it. I've bought a couple now over the last few months or whatever. I'm the only one that likes it that I've offered any to because it's like a firm, snappy texture of like a
Sure.
cucumber. And the ones I've had aren't like really sweet. It's
Sure.
just kinda refreshing. So,
See, I feel like I would like this. I don't know why nobody ever told me about this, but I tried something else. What is it? It's like the really stinky, horrible one. Durian.
durian, yeah.
I tried that. God, that's awful. That's
I'm shocked you
nasty.
tried it. That's
I I
impressive.
mean, I am a person in general, you put something before me and you dare me, I'll do it.
But
But
it smells
yeah,
so
good.
rotten.
Oh god, it does. It's terrible. I definitely gagged. I don't think I threw it back up. I managed to, swallow it down, which, we should cut that into some sort of meme somewhere.
I
Um,
wish the audience could see this that Alan shared in our chat. This GIF of a cat smelling durian. It
I
just
could I could
almost, like,
reenact that.
faints. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It is that disgusting. It is that disgusting. I mean, I know there's people out there who love it or acquire a
yeah,
taste for it either way,
right.
whatever, but not
Mhm.
me. I was one and done.
Yep.
But I see, after that Korean melon, I could totally hack that.
Yes. Yep. Very different, very different. Okay, sorry for the aside. I just,
No, it's all
you said
good.
fruit, I just thought of it, yeah. So,
Yeah. Speaking of fruit and blended beverages, not really fruit, but blended beverages. October 7th was Frappe Day. When I think of that, I almost immediately think of Starbucks and their frappuccinos. I've
yep.
never really associated
Mhm.
anything else with a frappe. So,
It's our generation.
yep, way to go, Starbucks. Way to basically corner that market.
Mhm.
And then switching from non-alcohols back to alcohols, we have October 13th is International Pinotage Day, which is a variety of wine, red wine. And then today, October 16th, it is Liqueur Day or liqueur,
Right.
however you like to pronounce it.
Yeah. I'm looking at the screen and Bella's a little distracting behind me, like right behind my head. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
move Bella, you know.
Her hands are kind of like grazing your hair, almost like she would like to comb through it in a sensual manner. I'm
Yeah,
telling a whole
yeah.
story with
I
your cardboard cutout right now.
mhm, mhm. I can see that. Yep, my hair is very
Yep,
soft.
now she's a little back to the side. Now she's back to like, you know, just a
Yeah.
cool casual observer.
Wow, you're really breaking up now, Andrea.
Oh no. Must be because I'm talking about Bella Swan.
Uh,
Ah, you heard that one.
maybe. Yep, I did. That came in crystal clear. Um, oh, good. Alan says audio's fine from his end, so just me.
Okay.
Perfect.
Just you.
Yep.
Get it together,
Okay. Well,
John.
that's cool. I know. What the hell? Are you celebrating any of these fun holidays?
I am celebrating 2 of them.
Oh, bam. All right.
Yes. Guess which 2?
Oh, smoothie and vodka.
No, but you have 1 right.
Oh. Oh. Wow. Vodka and liqueur.
Ding, 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 you got it.
All right. All right. Nice.
I made a variation on a Moscow Mule, adding my dad makes, liqueur, and he made some apple flavored.
Oh,
So,
cool.
I made, like, a kind of fall, like, mule
Yeah.
with that and then also a little apple cider. So, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Awesome. Um, but yeah, autumnal. I remember now. Last year, autumnal was the word, and I like that word.
Autumnal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Well, I am back to making, I made another drink out of my Gotham City
Yay! Oh, I
cocktails
love
book.
it.
So it's been like, so often I'm missing one ingredient, and I had everything this time for this. So it's called, I thought it was kind of appropriate actually for the show or what we're talking about too. It's called the Demon's Head. So
Ooh,
per usual, I will read what the Demon's Head is from the Gotham City Cocktails book. The
okay.
English translation of Ras Al Ghul is head of the
Mm,
demon, and this cocktail
mm.
captures the man's pure evil in a very dramatic way. Butterfly pea flowers have been used for centuries in tea, and their deep petals make a natural dye. One of the flower's distinctive features in liquid form is that it changes color based on the pH of substances added to it. For
Okay.
instance, lime juice. Watch in amazement as the color of this drink transforms from blue to purple. It is an impressive trick that Gotham City's bartenders use to wow guests. The Demon's Head. So you can
Very
see
cool.
color here is very sort of purple,
Yeah.
verging on almost pink, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The butterfly PT is yeah, it's very blue when you first do it, and then you add it, and it all turns. I thought about maybe I should try do it on camera or something, but just make a mess. So
Where did you find that? I mean, that's not like your normal run of the mill ingredient.
yeah, yeah, it's just had to order on Amazon.
Okay, sure.
Just is like dried flowers in a big pack. So you just
Mhm.
make this tea and just says add a bar spoon full of the butterfly pea flower tea, 2 ounces of vodka, 3/4 ounce fresh lime juice, an ounce of Cointreau. So
Okay.
there it is. It's
Sounds
really
pretty
good,
good. Is
actually.
it?
Yeah, yeah, it's very good. So I'm happy to have one more recipe down.
Nice. How many are in there and how many have you done? Like what's your progress bar?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do not know how many are in here, but I have done off of a quick count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think I've done 13 of them. Pretty good,
Wow.
huh?
Nice. Yeah. Have you I mean, you must have done more that you haven't done on the show, right?
I think they've all been on the show.
Really?
Maybe not. Maybe not. Our
Maybe there
most
was like one or two that you maybe started out with that weren't.
yeah, it could be. It could be.
Nope.
Hey, Pupperoos, for those watching as, Pupper's on screen.
Surprise visit. Yeah, she's very needy today.
Yeah, understandable. Well, anyways, that's that. Another cocktail, both celebrating holidays today. That's perfect. And
Go us. That's not
yeah,
always the case.
no, no. So, how's your week been? Um, any crazy, awesome stuff? It looks like on the list here you got quite a bit of Halloween related things.
Yes, I was feeling like Halloween, but nostalgic. Like I didn't want to just like jump into something new. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Um, so I just kind of decided to rewatch some old favorites. Um, and they kind of like got a little themed that I didn't realize. The only like new thing that I've watched besides Castlevania, obviously, is Great British Baking Show, which has
Okay.
nothing to do with Halloween, but everything to do with like the feel goods, which I'm still
Yeah.
loving. But I went through and I rewatched the 4 seasons of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Definitely kind of felt it both for the season and because I just finished watching its sister show Riverdale. which had
Ah,
wrapped up its like seventh and final season. And so
right.
yeah, I was feeling this one kind of with both shows, both Riverdale and Chilling Adventures. They started out their like first couple of seasons, like their first two really were so strong and so good, and then they just both dropped.
Mm.
Not to say that there weren't good elements still about each of the shows, there were, but they just really kind of got a little too nuts and crazy and out there, and they
How
kind
many
of fell into
seasons
some
of
plot
Sabrina
lines
were
that
there?
like 4.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So I mean, not like terribly long, just like the last 2 seasons got a little interesting, but you can really tell like the difference, the drop off, I think
Did
anyway.
that get picked up by someone else? Because I thought it was canceled already. Did
Mm-mm.
someone like re-pick it up or no?
Almost. They almost canceled it after the 3rd season, and then they came back for a 4th to wrap some things up, which they
Okay.
did do. And then they like undid because spoiler alert, I guess. Apologies. Sabrina appears on Riverdale post
Hmm.
Chilling Adventures of Sabrina after
Okay.
she, again, spoiler, 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 has died.
Mm.
So they have like a thing about that and it works, but yeah, it's just kind of really interesting the way that they pull that element and suddenly Riverdale becomes this like, I don't know, pseudo supernatural
Right.
horror thing that I mean, it definitely started out as like darker version of the comics, but yeah, took a left turn
Mhm.
and just
Okay.
embraced total zaniness.
Okay. Hmm.
But I think
Yeah, I
honestly,
wonder.
it's the same showrunner for both,
Right.
Robert Sarcasa, and I think he just missed Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, so he just sort of was like, "Whatever, I'm just gonna combine the 2."
Okay. Okay. All right.
So yes, I watched Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, I watched The Craft, I watched Practical Magic, some '90s, witch movies, Hocus
Mhm.
Pocus, same thing. And then it kind of took a turn into like vampire territory to get back into Castlevania like realm. And I watched Queen of the Damned, which Chris walked in on and was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "You haven't watched this? This is a problem." He's like, "Is it good?" And I was like, "Define good.
Yeah.
It's campy wonderfulness, but is it like highbrow cinema? No." Is it
No, but
exquisitely
it's
done? No, but it's good. Like,
right.
it's
Mhm.
entertaining.
It's what we're missing today. It's just fun. It's a fun
Yeah,
show. You leave, have you had a great time.
it
Yep.
doesn't take itself too seriously. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, it's Anne Rice, so it's not supposed to be like totally just, horror, spooky, like jump scares kind of thing. It is,
Mhm.
it embraces its like vampires are like languid and sexy and sensual.
Right.
And it's
Right.
all about like undertones of sex everywhere. So,
Yes. I have seen Queen of the Damned, and I have seen
mhm.
Hocus Pocus. I have
Mhm.
not seen The Craft or Practical Magic. In fact, I don't even know what Practical Magic is. I know
Blasphemy.
of The
Prax so
Craft.
okay, so I'm gonna take this one by one. Practical Magic is a movie based off the book by Alice Hoffman of the same name, and it stars very young Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman as
Oh,
sisters who are witches. Um, and they're like descendant of a magical bloodline, and they live with their aunts, who are played by Diane Wiest and Stockard Channing. And there's like a curse on their family that any man who loves them is fated to die. So like all of these, men fall in love with them. They keep dying these like tragic deaths, and but the sisters are like bonded through it. And then yeah, so I can't I don't want to give it away because
sure,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
really really good
it sounds like it could be fun to
movie.
see with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, yeah. That's
It's
fun.
yeah, it's some prime acting. It's a lot of fun. It's very '90s aesthetic. Stevie Nicks does a lot of the soundtrack for it because, of course, a lot of people have commented that like she's a witch. So
Mm,
it's kind of like fun that she does a lot of the songs for that movie.
cool.
So It's a very good one. I highly recommend it. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Is it on
And then
anything? Is it on a streaming service?
it's on Hulu.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah. I think it should be available. It might be available on Amazon Prime too. I think I've
sure,
watched it there before.
okay.
And then The Craft is also a 90s movie. It's got like a young Skeet Ulrich. Um, and then Nev Campbell's in it as well. Those are kind of like the two big names that I think people would know. But it's about like a new girl who comes to California and meets three other girls who are like just entering into the practice of the craft, witchcraft, and she becomes their fourth because they need
Mm,
like a fourth to do like the circle and practice their magic. And they kind of start getting a little bit out of control. Like they each start getting more powerful and they get what they want, but they learn that's not always a great thing. And then one of them just wants like all of the power. So she tries to like take out the other girls, especially this like new girl who's come in. So they have like an
right.
epic showdown. Yeah.
Huh,
Like, it's kind of they kind of end up have a fight that is, like, one is single white femaling the other, except she's using witchcraft to do it, not just, like, taking over her life. She's, like, using magic to take over her life. It's
huh,
creepy and insane. But, yeah,
okay,
it's another good, like, heavily 90s movie with witchcraft thrown in.
sure, nice. Okay,
Yeah. And then I also just wanted to put this down because I've just started this, so I can't really say too much about it. Um, but I was looking for something new to try. And so I started like the first 20 minutes of The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix, which I wasn't going to because I definitely like neon sign millennial over here thought it was about the singer Usher.
okay.
I was like, "What?
See,
Why didn't Netflix make a documentary about Usher Raymond, and why does he have, like, a house that felt like am I missing
yeah,
something?" And then I had to, like,
built
get
his
into
house on a
it to be
fault
like,
line, you
"Oh."
know? Yeah,
The literal fall.
yeah, yeah.
No, I just, like I
Yeah,
totally didn't get it. I thought it was about him, and suddenly I was, like, reading the description about, like, "Oh, it's this, like, supernatural family going through some shit," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I can get into that."
does it seem good? Because I had no idea either what it was about. The only Usher I am familiar with, yeah, is, like,
Is the
the
singer.
the job or the
Makes the
singer.
job. I mean, again, I've only seen 20 minutes. Mark Hamill's in it randomly, and Carla Gugino. So I don't know. It seems cool so far.
Okay, alright, interesting. Interesting, yeah, Netflix is advertising that a lot, so
Yeah.
I definitely seen it, pop up there, but,
Yeah. So I fell
um,
I fell victim to it. So we'll see.
cool. Maybe I'll try Practical Magic at some point. That sounds kind of fun.
Do it.
Definitely been trying to watch more Halloween things again. Finally got to The Nun 2. Um,
Nice.
and I've been pitching The Nun 2 as sort of Da Vinci Code or National Treasure, but with the nun. Um, kind of that, you know, I don't know, Da Vinci Code Light. It picks up right where the first one left off pretty much, and, I liked it a lot. It's different than the first one. The the first Nun I didn't like initially,
Mhm.
when I came out of the theater, and then upon a second viewing, I actually really enjoyed it. So,
Okay.
I don't know what that was all about, but, I would say that the first one was a more beautiful film. The second one was kind of a it made more sense. It was like more sensical plot line and stuff like that. Um, Still well acted, and yeah, I don't know. I just had a good time. I could have used like I felt like the first one was maybe scarier too. I think Ashley disagreed with me on
Sure.
that, but yeah. If you like the first Done movie, I think you'll like the second. And then speaking of I don't know if it was 90s or late or early 2000s or whatever, but I watched Signs. So I'd had on a list
Nice.
here I wanted to rewatch Signs for a long time. It's been literally very many years. I don't know how many years it's been since I've watched Signs, but it's been a handful, and I absolutely loved it. It's gotta be in my top 10. Like,
Mhm.
okay, 2002, Alan says. It's so well done, and it made me, like, miss just clean, by the book, good filmmaking. I constantly noticed
Mhm.
the camera angles and the way scenes were set up. Do you remember when movies used to be able to put a camera, like, on a tripod and it would sit there? And then, like,
Mhm.
a scene could happen and, it's like and everything's not shaking or moving or whatever, you know? It's like just
Right.
I don't know. The music is really good, and
Yep.
not just the music, but the way it's used in the movie. And I tell you, this movie is also it's more impactful if you have family. So after having kids, like, it definitely
Mhm.
means more watching it. And then I
Mhm.
tell you, if you were a Christian losing their faith or whatever, this has got to be one of the number one Christian movies. Like, there's Christian films, and then they're like the whole intent of them is a message about Christianity or whatever. This is just a
Mhm.
great movie that has a really solid, like, powerful message, really. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't know, it's well acted on every front. I
Mhm.
normally don't like kids in movies, but the kids did a great job.
Yeah.
I can't rave about Signs enough, honestly. And I knew what was going to happen. So obviously, you don't have some of the things that, um, yeah, like, that it's going to build to this beautiful crescendo where everything fits together, but it still
Yep.
was very satisfying to watch.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I cannot remember the last time I watched that movie, but I can definitely remember the first. It was at a sleepover
Oh,
with Dana, and we stupidly decided to start it at, like, midnight
okay.
and had never seen it before.
Hmm.
Holy guns, were we terrified. Like, that is not the movie to watch for the first time when you're, like, alone in a basement,
Yeah.
just you and your
All
best
takes place in the
friend,
house. But yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Oh my god. Just I mean, for weeks, I looked up at our roof when I came home and it was anywhere close to nighttime.
Right.
Weeks. I still do sometimes. I'll still be like, "God dang, like, what if it's up there?"
Hmm. Hmm.
That movie made a definite impression on me. Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's extremely well done. It's extremely well done from, like, a scare horror kind of perspective, and it's well done from an emotional perspective.
Yep.
Um, you know, I think it's well written character-wise and well written story, but also, like, like I said, horror element-wise. It's just a great film.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it's
I don't
Shyamalan
know.
at his best.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know the last time I've seen a movie that's just this cleanly executed.
Mhm.
Um, just does all the things right.
Mhm.
Um, and it was my introduction, I think, to Joaquin Phoenix, and obviously he's
Sure.
amazing. It made me
Mhm.
miss Mel Gibson. Like, I want to watch more of the things he's been doing or whatever,
Right.
because I know he is doing more things in the last few years. And man, I don't know. It
Yeah,
all these
a
years later.
pre-problematic Gibson. A
Mhm.
pre-problematic and kind of, like, a little off the rails for a little bit. Even in his acting,
Feel
I
like
felt like some of the roles he took were a little, like, kooky for a while, and this was one of his
mm,
more, like, great serious, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well,
he plays, like, a really great, like, father figure, like, serious father
mhm,
figure. Like, I think about him in, like, The Patriot too. Like, he does that
yeah,
kind of role so well.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, but he does, like, the broken thing, trying to hold the
Mhm.
family together so well in here,
Yeah.
and, I mean, I remember seeing him in Conspiracy Theory. You ever see that one with
I
I
don't think
think
so.
Julia Roberts? Yeah, he
No,
was
I don't
like
think
a
I've seen that
really
one.
intense conspiracy theorist, and he just like had trouble integrating into regular life because he was always
Mm,
just seeing the something else behind the, behind the curtain.
sure,
And it's always wrong until it isn't. And that's
sure.
what this movie is. So I remember seeing that one. It was kind of slow for me at the time, but I'd be willing to
Mhm,
give another look at this point. So
sure. Yeah, I feel like there's just, like, an era where, like I said, he was just like a concerned dad, like a serious
mhm,
dad, where,
mhm.
bad shit was happening, like The
Yeah.
Patriot, like Signs. I think Payback was another one kinda
Oh,
like that.
okay. I don't know if I've seen that
Isn't
one.
that the one isn't that the one where his
Is
kid
it?
gets kidnapped and he decides, like, they, like, leave a ransom, but he's gonna figure that shit out?
Oh, no,
Am I
that's not
conflating
th
2 movies?
that's y yeah, that's a different name. Is that one that thing that has the one with, Viggo
God,
Mortensen
what
in
is
it,
that? What
right?
is that?
Th that's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's
What is
the
that?
yes, it's the ransom thing. Um,
Yeah,
oh, it
it's
is Payback.
Payback. Okay, alright.
Okay, I'm thinking of
Okay,
something different, I think. I'm thinking of something different. Yes, I'm thinking of something different. I'm thinking of, like, Hostage, or it's something, it really is focuses around a hostage kinda thing.
sure.
Alan's doing all the detective work for us here.
I
So
know.
Payback, 1999, uh,
Sorry, Alan.
Mel Gibson and Maria Bello. I'm yeah,
Yeah, let's
okay.
see.
Anyways,
Anyway,
yes,
yeah,
that's
there's, like, a whole era of Mel Gibson where, he's playing concerned, serious fathers, and I think he does that really
mhm,
well, and Signs is
sure,
one of those movies.
sure. I wish I could rave more about it. I just I could do a discussion about it. Let's break it down. But I did watch a more recent movie as well. I watched the latest Mission Impossible movie that finally
Yes.
became available.
I just noticed that
Um,
that it did, and I was about to watch it, and I was like, "We're probably gonna have to do that on the podcast, so I will save it."
okay, okay. Yeah, watch it whenever.
How did you feel about it?
I'll withhold. Oh, how much do you want to know? Hey, pups, I want
Hi.
some of the drink too.
Yeah,
Some
no kidding.
um Yeah, how much you want me to say about it?
I mean, is it worthy? Like, is it worthy of a podcast discussion, or are you like, "Ooh, I was highly disappointed." You know what
I
I
was
mean?
not
Because I
highly
felt like we
disappointed.
okay, good. I feel like we did a whole, like, build up and review of the
Yeah,
entire franchise, and it's like, you could hit that and then watch this one and be like, "Crash. It's
right,
terrible." Or it just, like,
right.
doesn't live up to the expectations.
Definitely changes your I feel like probably changes your perspective on the film, having watched all the other ones, like, this year or whatever,
Sure.
versus if you hadn't seen any of them kinda maybe more when since they came out or whatever.
Mhm,
Um, so yeah, I think I feel like I have plenty to say about it, but I don't wanna
mhm.
skew your experience of it going in.
Okay,
So, it belongs in the franchise, we'll say that.
okay. Alright, well, I'm looking forward to watching it.
Alright. I watched it in, like, 2 parts or something like that because it's long, so be
Yeah,
prepared. Um, and then I don't know why this was, but I was, like, checking and I saw that I hadn't finished this one Daredevil comic, or if it's the news we're gonna get into that I saw first, but I feel like I started this before
sure.
I saw the news story. But either way, I finished up season 2 of Daredevil from Netflix.
Mhm.
I'd seen it before, but we were watching through it with my parents before. Well, that's not gonna happen now. I'm not gonna be able to keep watching those or whatever. So I'm like, well, I'm never gonna be able to go through them again if I don't just do it. So I finished season 2 and I started season 3. So, um, and yeah, so far I
Good
still think
show.
the same things that I thought when I initially saw it. So yeah, you finished that all the way?
No, I didn't. I didn't finish all of season 3. So I have to come back to that
Yeah, you gotta come back to it, and then we can
because I
very
really do like
like
that show.
years on, we can talk about season 3.
Well, I mean, we can talk about season 3 and then we can talk about maybe a continuing or not question mark based on this latest news that we've heard regarding the
Yeah.
new Daredevil show.
hmm So it's really finally I don't know, executives at Disney are kind of getting the message, I think, that what they're doing is not working.
Yeah.
And that particularly applies to their television business. They had promises to be, like making money, be profitable on their streaming service. I think by 2025. I
Mhm.
don't know. It's not looking like any of that's going to happen. But they're shaking things up. So one of the big shows coming that was announced was Daredevil Born Again, and
Mhm.
it's the return of Daredevil, but they have the same actor for
Mhm.
Daredevil and Kingpin,
Yep.
but they're not the same character. So
Right.
the
And no Foggy, no Karen.
Yeah, so no real word on, no confirmation on the actors for any other characters or them coming back. Um, it was like a new thing, and this was sort of I don't know, it seemed like a half step to try to win the fans over. But, they hired these writers people really hadn't really heard of or whatever, and the story broke
Mhm.
now, this is according to Hollywood Reporter, that they are
Right.
basically scrapping what they've done and starting over. So if they've shot
Yes.
already maybe 8 episodes, those are going away.
Mhm.
There were some issues. They said they were doing a procedural crime thing. Daredevil didn't show up in
Mhm.
costume till, like, episode 4, and, yeah, it's kinda crazy that they're just starting over. Um,
Yeah.
Firstly, what do you think? I mean, there's larger implications for television in general at Marvel. But what do you think about this decision? And yeah,
I like this decision. Because honestly, like, I would watch much more of the Netflix show than I would whatever this is describing. I mean, I was obviously always happy that they were going to take Daredevil and make a TV show because I thought it got short shrift. Um, but if they're thinking it's not working, if it's not testing well, if nobody's responding to it, then why the hell put it out there? Don't do it
mhm,
and make something that fans responded to. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So I mean, this doesn't seem like bad news at all to me. I mean, obviously the cost of it sucks for Disney, but if it's going to be more profitable later to release something that people enjoy rather than something mediocre that people are like, oh well, thanks for ruining that,
hmm
then obviously that's going to pay off.
yeah. I have two things. Your dog hitting the door jam thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So I think two things. One, I don't know why they make it so difficult for themselves. They do this in Star Wars too. Like the generally speaking, the Netflix Daredevil series was widely praised. So why on earth would you not just take the team, the whole team that did that and continue on? Like,
Hmm.
tell me why
You
other
already have
than
it all set
ego.
up.
What's that?
You already have it all set up. I mean, it's all there. All the pieces are there.
Yeah.
You just have to like take it and keep going.
They already had ideas for the next season. You could tell with the way it
Hmm.
ended.
Yep.
And just it's a layup. So the only thing I can think is, again, egos. We want to control what this is exactly. We
Right.
want to have something different. We want to be, it's not our vision.
We can do
It's
it
not our
better.
vision. So yeah.
Hmm.
So instead of servicing the fans and giving them what they want. It's like, no, what do we want this to be? And because I think this restart is great, but it's still not going to mean that it's going to become season 4 of Netflix's Daredevil.
Sure.
It's just going to be something else. Like if they were smart, that's what they would do. They would make amends with the previous showrunners. They bring them on
Right.
board, bring the writing team on board, get that cast back, and be like, can be a big. They can push again, like, hey, reminder: season 1 through 3 of Daredevil's on Disney Plus. Get ready for
Mhm.
the new season because
Right.
Daredevil and Netflix steps on no toes. It doesn't
Right.
like mess up canon somewhere. It fits in nicely and basically stays on its own. So there's no
Mhm.
logical reason that it needs to change.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, and this like I don't know, this show that they're pitching, I mean, it sounds almost I mean, the show that they're now sorry, the show that they were pitching that is now dead and going to be reshot. I mean, it sounds vaguely interesting, but it also sounds like an origin story, and I don't need that. Like,
hmm,
Daredevil is too recent. I've gotten, like, a whole intro. It's all good. Like, I don't need just the way that they're like, "Oh, he doesn't show up in costume until, like, episode 4." It just sounds like focusing I'm becoming Daredevil, and then, like, here I am becoming Daredevil. Like, I don't need that.
yeah,
I don't need
right,
another superhero origin story. It's all good.
right, yeah. Yeah, again, they're just making more work for themselves. The
Mhm.
it, the interesting thing you said there is like the story that they were pitching that was canceled. The stories seem to not
Yeah,
get pitched. So that's the other thing that's really shifting here is apparently the way that they were working on television is they kind of like cast some writers to give them a story. Those writers would say adios. The directors would come in and have to kind of fix what it went as it went along. And they'd make the series and plop it out there versus the idea of having to create a pilot, test
sure.
that pilot with, executives and an audience. And then if people like it, do that or make some changes based upon audience reception. And then like get the
Right.
green lights to go ahead with this. Oh, this is the kind of show you want to make. Okay, you can go ahead and do this, and then have that overseen because the shows they had here they didn't have proper showrunners. That was the
Yeah.
amazing thing is, like, the shows were run by executives and projects were just given a green light without a pilot. So, I don't know
Mhm.
where again, multi-billion dollar company. Television has been done away for years and years and works the way it's been done. And instead, they're like, nope, we're gonna hire a bunch of no names. Just
Mhm.
make a She-Hulk thing. Just do that. Give us a She-Hulk. And then just say see you later and no oversight, no continuous showrunner, like
Yeah.
writers hatching things together. What are we doing
Yeah, I
here?
mean, yeah, this feels like the first concrete proof that Marvel is going to act on its words to slow down and really think things through because I know we've talked on the show before about like news stories coming out of like things got green lights that were only half finished and so directors and actors were scrambling like to be like I don't know we're shooting things and just kind of going with it like we don't really have an ending to a
Yeah,
show but we're just doing it and it was like Marvel was churning out content so fast they weren't even like thinking about it and so this feels like another instance of like we did the thing before we thought about it and this is the first concrete step that Marvel is saying, shit. Okay,
yeah,
we said we were going to slow down, really think about the content that we're putting out and focus and make it better rather than putting out, we're going to do the quality over quantity thing.
yeah,
This is the first time I've seen them react and say, okay, we were doing a quantity, people hate it, going to go back, try to do the quality. So I
yeah.
hope this works out and I hope it's a lesson that pays off for them to be like, "Yeah, okay, we really should do that."
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I don't
That's my
have
take.
any, yeah, no, I don't really have high expectations, because again, they'll prove that they just are going to try to do things the hard way. They're going to
before
not
the
do
easy
things
way.
be logically. Yeah. And they do try. I mean, I say it's easy, but at the same time, they seem to put a lot of effort in to messing things up. Like,
Mhm.
especially on the Star Wars sides of things, it's like, are you trying? Are you just trying to ruin this? Um, but we'll see. Hollywood Reporter has a write up on it. If you want to give that a look, go ahead and check it out.
Mhm.
Um, the other thing I wanted to bring up in, I guess, in relation to this, in a way, another project that I just heard about. I thought, well, this is up Andrea's alley. Um,
Sure.
they're rebooting Gargoyles as a live action
Yes.
series for Disney Plus.
Wait, live action though?
Live action series.
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm obviously gonna watch it, but I might have to hate watch it. I don't know, because I love that series. I freaking love
Mhm.
it, but I don't know how it's gonna work live action. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel. Oh, I'm so torn. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with this. You're getting my full, like, genuine live reaction on camera here because I genuinely don't know what to do. I've
It's
not
one
seen
of the,
this before. This is news to me.
it's one of those things that, right, your gut says all of a sudden, like, whoa, I'm excited, I love this property, but then you gotta slow down and be like, well, but does this work? Does statues animating into real life and
Right?
tarking gargoyles, like, as it's one thing if they're the monsters and there's a monster to defeat, but these are like, you know they're the characters, the
Right. It's
with a
everything.
wide
There's
variety of personalities and stuff. Yeah.
right, there's, like, 3 human characters, and then there's, like, a bunch of, like, half human, like, hybrid I don't know, man.
And with the state of, like, digital effects recently out of the mouse house, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Oh, this is fun. The writer, wrote the Annabelle horror movies. He wrote The Nun and The Nun 2,
Okay.
and he co-wrote It. So, I
Okay.
mean,
So that's
it's
some
got some
credits there.
creds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig that. I don't know. The second the words live action came out of your mouth, I
Yeah.
was just it was like a wall
Conflicted,
I
yes.
slammed into. I was so excited
Yeah.
and then bam. I don't know what to do.
So, yeah.
I'm
We'll
obviously
see.
yeah, like I said, I'm gonna watch it, but I may hate watch it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, probably be a little while, I'm guessing, just hearing about it
Ugh,
now, so. And the last thing I wanted to kind of bring up is just there's a couple stories around the way that um, you know, we consume media digitally or physically or
mhm,
whatever. And the two stories happen kind of back to back. Best Buy is planning to phase out the sales of physical movies
crazy.
within a few months here. Um,
Yep.
and then Walmart is going to probably allegedly is
Yeah.
going to stop selling physical Xbox games, and
Mm,
probably that will be followed, I would guess, by other platforms.
right.
So just to you, like, how do you consume stuff? Do you buy physical things? Were any of the movies you watched this last week, did you pop in a DVD or Blu-ray? Do you care
Oh.
about that at all? Does it matter to the industry? Are we moving in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, I care to the extent that there are certain things that, you know, don't exist on a digital platform that I wish I held a physical copy of because I love them and I can't find them anywhere. Like I mean, I know that
Okay.
they exist and, I know that they were once out there in the universe. I'm sure I could find clips of things to watch, but it's not the same as watching the movie or the show that I really love. So yeah, so I definitely keep things because I do worry that, you know, there's a time when I can't access it and I really love this thing. And it's not the most popular thing or it's not the most profitable in terms of, a bunch of people are watching it. So, yeah, this kind of bums me out. I still buy like physical copies of games. I
Okay.
buy Chris a lot of video games too, and it's like a physical gift that I'm giving.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, that one kind of hits me harder. I mean, of course, I think so much of our content is available digitally, especially movies and TV shows, that I'm bummed about the physical, but sort of can get over it. But yeah, the games one hits me hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's at this point, it's just unless something weird happens, it's just inevitable that basically physical copies of stuff is going to really become niche. Got
Yeah.
to order online. It'll be more about getting a collector's edition. It'll start being harder to find a Blu-ray player, all those
Mhm.
kinds of things. Newer consoles won't accept discs. They'll be just the discless
Right.
versions of things. um, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think too much about it, uh, but really, I thought more about it when after having kids and certain
Mhm.
things that I want to preserve and have them be able to watch for
Yeah.
sure. Um, because people forget about it, don't think about it a lot, but
Mhm.
any of these things can be taken away, like that. Rights dispute, gone. No longer deemed acceptable, gone. And they can just be freely edited too. What if everybody was like George Lucas and just did a new version, special edition, kept tweaking their thing all the time, or the stuff like the one service was doing and pulling out cigarettes out of their, out of the
Right.
hands of actors and stuff like that. Um, who knows where it can go? But when there's no backup, when there is no failsafe, when there is no physical version that you can obtain, it just
Mhm.
seems a lot more like, you're asking for that sort of thing, and
Right.
games is kind of scary. A lot of people have done digital stuff, but that for sure, there's often rights things or servers are taken down or whatever, and
Or
even with
mergers are
games,
happening.
yep. Yeah, you never know how it goes. And I don't know. It's sad. I remember the days of going to Best Buy and going through
Mhm.
row after row, looking at all the CDs, all the different
Mhm.
movies. Like,
Yes.
now what do you even do? How do you even do to go to Best Buy? Like, there's nothing. I guess I'm gonna go look at the
Buy a
computers I know
fridge.
like already exist. Yeah, right. Uh, it's just yeah, and right, the gifts. It is harder to give a gift. Like, well, here's a digital card. Here's the
Right.
here's the
Just
code.
doesn't mean the same.
Yeah. Mm. So it's fine. It's what you got. It's what you have to do. But
Right.
just yeah. So that's what's happening there. Everybody,
That's sad,
add your 2 cents in the comments below or wherever, and
right? Are you
let
gonna
us
hoard all
know.
your physical copies, or are you gonna see John
Hmm.
or I on a future episode of Hoarders just buried alive under Blu-rays? Like, I needed to save
Yeah.
them all.
Yeah. It's one of those things like I never really thought I was one of those people where, oh, I'm young and, I, yes, my elders know better or something, and then
Mhm.
as time changes, just my ideas change. And like, cause I went through a phase where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna wear my Apple Watch. I'm wear my Apple Watch and like tell my parents like, why don't you have an Apple Watch? And it's like techify everything. We smart lit our house everywhere and stuff. And then after a while, you sit with it and it's like, I don't know, is that better? Like, do I want that? I
Sure.
did that with movies then too. It's like, well, in the future, you're just gonna pay for this subscription and you're just gonna have access to every movie you ever want, basically. And so why do I need to keep all these things? We sold a
Yep.
bunch of movies and some of that. And that's all good and fine, but now I'm like, well, maybe there won't be all these streaming services. Maybe they will be taken away. Now, a bunch of them doesn't matter. A lot of them don't matter. But like, I would be sad if I lost access to signs forever. just watch that
Right?
movie. It's a really impactful movie. It's great. Like that would suck if I could never show my kids the movie Signs. So yeah.
No, I get
Anyways,
it. I get it. Like, yeah, streaming services seemed so permanent and they are slash were, but they're also something that like we've seen streaming services fail and
yeah.
the content that they've made go away with them. Now, like, does anyone remember what was it, Quibi? Was that the
Quibi,
like the
yep.
short
Mhm.
thing?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, is anybody sad to have lost all that content? I have no idea. Probably someone somewhere out there, whoever you are, lone person, tell me about
Mhm.
your sadness. But like, yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that, these are just these streaming services that we have are like a longer version of that. And someday they
Yep.
will go away and to be replaced by whatever. And we don't have access to the catalog that was once there.
Yep.
And so you're just kind of at the mercy of like whoever decides, "Hey, I care about this random movie from 1990 enough that, I bought the rights to it. Now we can offer it on our streaming service." Or, "No, I don't like that this week. We're going to get rid of it."
Yeah. Just an example. Oh, hey, MJ's in the chat. Hello, MJ
Hey,
Honeybee.
MJ.
Um, hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
So you think about like you often think like all the music would be available on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever. But
Mhm.
if you want to you pay for the subscription and you want to go and listen to some of the old James Bond soundtracks, it's not going to be there. It is
Right.
not exists as non streaming service. So it's not you do not have access to everything. So um okay. MJ in the chat, let us know. Do you consume anything on physical media yet, or are you just living up the digital life? We're gonna move into now Castlevania Nocturne. It's Netflix's essentially fourth season of Castlevania, and
5th. I
oh,
totally
I missed
forgot there was a
one.
4th season. Yeah, I totally forgot there was a 4th season of Castlevania, but we
What?
covered 4 of them. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well,
No, I
um,
totally was with you, and then I don't know
yeah.
why I went into Castlevania the other day and saw that there were 4 seasons. So,
So what the heck was season 3? I remember season 1 very well.
mhm.
I remember season
Yeah, that
2.
was, like, so short. It was, like, 4 episodes, wasn't it? It was just, like,
Yeah,
a
the
little
first one, yeah.
blippy
Mhm.
zoom through. Yeah.
Season 2 felt too long, kind of slow in the
Yep.
middle.
Yep.
Season 4 was with, like, I think Jason Isaacs, and did they g
Mhm.
did the story just kinda split with 3 and 4, or what did I
Let me go in and check it out.
MJ says, "Pretty much all digital. I don't like to have clutter anymore, but I do know I risk losing the item in the digital form." Yep.
Okay.
Uh,
So season 3 was The Council of Sisters.
Okay,
That
okay,
was Jason Isaacs as the judge.
okay. Right. So season
Yeah,
4
and so 3 and 4 were, like,
just
real
merged. Yeah.
yeah, follows of each other, like, it was an
Okay.
overall arc. Yeah. We're gonna resurrect Dracula in season 4.
Yeah, that's right, because the end of 3 was, like, going into the tower and stuff like that, and it was in
Yep,
the basement of the one church that was and then season
yep,
4 was dealing with we're at this the place that Alucard was at, and we kinda
yep,
have our confrontation there. Okay. Yep. Alright.
yep.
Okay. So, Castlevania season 5. Um, alright, so we covered the first 2 episodes a couple weeks
Mhm,
ago. Now we're talking episodes 3 through 6.
yep,
So, spoilers for this. We, it's these 4 episodes. I think there'll just be 2 left then that we'll
mhm.
cover in the coming weeks. But
We never
what do
watched a show this
you?
way. like done
I know.
2 and then like a big middle chunk and then 2. We usually
Yes.
do like 2, 2, 2, 2, or half and half.
Yes. So if it
So
goes
this was
well,
different.
we're gonna thank Phil, and if it goes poorly, we're gonna blame Phil. That's how this is gonna go.
Yes, Phil, this is all on you, good or bad.
Yeah. Um, yeah, what'd you think of these? Like, things really got moving in a way, like
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of our storylines got pushed forward after kind of an introductory detour in episode 3. We go back and we get a huge chunk of the episode is Annette and Edward's backstory. I mean, mostly
yes,
Annette, but obviously him thrown in there as well, how they met,
yes,
and their whole deal, which serves the purpose of kind of introducing us to the background of some other vampire characters, some of the magic that's been going on, and then also setting us up for what happens to continue Annette and Edward's storyline, because it really still is the both of them, even though he's died and has been made a night creature. There's now like a resting, does he have a soul still question, which I mean, signs seem to point to yes, that
right.
but based on his interaction with the group where they see him for the first time as a night creature and he saves Annette, and then another like demon guard is like, "Oh, I smell a human soul." Or maybe that's Old Rocks, I can't remember. But somebody
Yeah,
is like, "Oh,
yeah,
I smell a human soul in there."
mhm.
So we're kind of getting into some interesting questions about night creatures and where can Edward go? Can we save him? Can we not? Is saving him gonna be killing him, or is there a path for him to live as a night creature? So,
Yeah,
that's
I
an
didn't
interesting, like, side story. I'm not sure if they can address it quickly because I think that would be good so we can get back to our main, but it's an
mhm.
interesting side story.
I don't know that I loved it because I thought they did this sort of thing in a much more, I don't know, kind of mysterious, realistic way already in Castlevania season 3,
Mhm.
with Isaac, because he was like leading this group. And remember him having that conversation with the like fly,
Right.
a night
Mhm.
creature, and so we got a little bit of that, like, oh, he can talk, he can has some vague memories. This to me is like, if they're gonna do this, they kinda have to explain to us that the Forge Master is doing something wrong, or does is something's being
There's a
messed up
flaw.
here, because yeah. Otherwise, I don't prefer this. So if we get something like that where I don't know what the excuse would be, out of practice, just,
Yeah.
I still don't we still don't know anything about, like, how he's become a Forge Master, and is it really the the Abbey? Is it really, what's his
I
face? It's
I don't think it is. I
so
have a
the
feeling the
Abbot,
way they
yeah,
talk about it, yeah, the abbot, I feel like the way they talk about it, it's somebody we haven't even been introduced to yet, which
okay,
I feel like is problematic given that we're at
right,
the end of episode 6. That part to me
mhm,
is troublesome. That suggests to me that these last 2 episodes have way too much to do,
right,
um, or that it's gonna be like a season 3 and 4
cliffhanger,
of Castlevania. It's gonna be season 1
yeah,
and 2 of Nocturne. Because 'cause they've already greenlit season 2, I'm pretty sure I remember Phil
I think
saying.
so, yeah,
Um, so if that's the case, then okay, I guess. We don't necessarily
mhm,
need to have a nice, neat, fully wrapped up season 1 if they're
right,
already gonna spill over into season 2, but
right.
doesn't mean we still don't have a lot to do in the last 2 episodes.
And then Andrea singing, 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 more singing,
So much singing.
and now
Yes,
singing by a night creature, night beast, but
yeah. There were moments that worked and there were moments that didn't. For me, the moments that worked were the moments of singing where I didn't see the singer. So,
right,
like,
beautiful.
Annette's
The
memories
music's great.
of her mother, great. Like all of those lullabies, and they continually reference like I kept those in my heart. They're,
Right.
stories of the past, and now she's like contacting her ancestors. Get it done. Love it. Edward singing from the cell while the whole fight was going on was cool. I enjoyed
Right.
that. But then he like was singing again, and there were flashbacks of him singing, and it doesn't work. The mouth movements, it's
Yeah.
no
It's
good.
yeah.
So there was too much of that. There's too much of that, and then, like, Annette was singing because she missed Edouard, which I got, but I also didn't wanna watch her sing. Too much.
Right.
Just, like, reel it in a little bit here.
Yep. Yep. Um, yeah. I I should look up if this is written, like the scripts are written by the same people as previous
I don't
seasons.
Oh, I know they're not written this like, each episode, is written by a couple of different people because they flash
Sure.
that right at the beginning in the title credits, and I've
Does
noticed in
this
the past couple of ones that they've been different from each other. But I don't know if
does
it's like a
this
group that kinda rotates.
right. Does this season series seem less um mature than previous seasons? Like, I don't know, there's something that like they're trying to do stuff that should be impactful
Mhm.
and thought provoking, and I don't feel like they are. Like,
Yeah, I
I
feel
feel
like
like
we
I oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I feel like we're in a show where we have a set of adults and we have a set of teens, and we are looking at our teens right now on screen. Even though Annette pretends like I'm so much older and I've seen so much and you kids can't make
Right.
decisions, which I don't know where that whole conversation came from.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
everybody in that little row has seen some shit.
Mhm.
But these feel like our children, and then there feels like a set of adults, which are like all the vampires, like Olrox and Drolta, and obviously Ursabet Battery. Like they feel like adults, and then these are like teens who are fighting them,
Hmm.
and
Sure.
you can
Yeah.
feel somehow an age gap, and it's
Yeah.
weird because
Mhm.
I mean, teens fighting vampires can totally work. I mean, talking to somebody whose all-time favorite show is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is literally a teen fighting vampires. It can work,
Right.
and she doesn't have to you can either embrace the teenageriness or you can try to, like, ignore it, and I feel like this show is ignoring it, which makes the characters feel even younger.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, but where's the adult voice then on the side of the good, right? Because
Tara, the mom, the
right,
aunt mom,
but then she
she's
should
just
be the
not in
one
it
that
enough.
kind of yeah, exactly. She kind of needs to be the one to step up and be the words of wisdom, and sometimes she's
Mhm.
sitting back, you know.
Yep.
It's kind of an issue I have with there was something else too where I'm just like I got this feeling sometimes in Harry Potter, even like reading the books. It's like, okay, the adults in the room here, like smack these kids around and tell them like
Right.
we're taking care of this or whatever, But I get it. It's like a story for kids, and so it's supposed to be like inspirational. It relates to the kids, and the kids
Right.
can do amazing things and all this sort of thing. It's a fantasy or whatever. But in this sort of like with heavier topics and political intrigue and all that sort of thing. It doesn't
Mhm.
doesn't ring as true for me when you've got this little girl like shouting about the revolution. It's like you haven't lived. I mean, I know you've
Yeah.
seen stuff, but you haven't lived. You don't have like you just don't have the experience that your mom would, that
Sure.
so that she could be bringing to the table here. And I don't know, just some of these people need to be put in their place a little bit. You know, the
Sure.
way they're selling Annette is like it would have made more sense for her to be kind of spouting off as like, "You're being a coward. We need to act. We need to go through and do this." And then for her hot-headedness to like get herself in trouble.
Mhm.
Instead, she just goes ahead and happens upon the vampire that she's feuding, that she has it out for,
Yeah.
and kills him on the spot. It's like, that's what is this for a dramatic storyline here? And what is this? What a coincidence as well. We ran into a few of those, like, just like, oh, well, you just happen to come across this person that's perfect for you right now that you need to see.
Yeah, yeah. So I get what you're saying. I think for me, 2 things. Um, so one, I get I get that, like, Maria, I think his cousin is the revolutionary. She makes a lot of sense to me as a revolutionary, but not a leader, which she seems to somehow be because she keeps, like, organizing these things, and she
Right.
invites Annette to, like, speak to the people, and it's like, sure, I totally buy her hot-headedness, her, like, zeal, her fervor for the revolution because younger people are often like the most vociferous about revolution or, the new way
Sure.
of doing things like so I get it, but yeah, like her sort of like high rank in there is a little odd because you would expect to see somebody older, more organized who knows what they're doing to like head this thing.
Yeah.
Um so that's troubling. To your other point, yes, Annette stumbling across Vaublanc at just the right amount of time and just, like, being able to kill him was, like, cool. I mean, it was a cool scene. It was awesome for her to be like, "I've been waiting for you for years. I've got the perfect thing to trap you." But we weren't emotionally invested in it because he just sort of appeared back on screen, and she
Right.
was like, "Yay, I dealt with my trauma." And
Yeah.
we just watched Richter not deal with his.
Right.
And that was actually, to me, much more realistic of him, like, seeing Olrox and being like, "I gotta get out of here. I don't know what to do." Like, shit.
Right.
He doesn't have, like, a perfect plan about, "I'm just gonna kill you now."
Right.
Which I'm happy about because I also like Olrox as a character better, and Vaublanc was like, "Whatever, you're obviously evil,
Right.
bye."
Yep.
But yeah, so that's how it felt to me. I felt like Richter's emotional range was more accurate to him as a character than Annette's just like, sometimes I'm hot-headed and I just wanna charge in without a plan and ignore Richter Belmont, who's, like, telling me I need a plan. Oh, but also I've been studying for years how to kill my enemy. I'm emotionally over it. Bam, I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like, we need, everybody has struggles, except all of hers are in, we got in our backstory. And we don't really
Yes.
necessarily see her overcome them other than like in flashback kind of form.
Mhm.
Um, so to me, it would have made something a lot more been a lot more dramatic and interesting for the character and for the show if she went out again and she got captured. That would give Richter a reason, like another reason to
Mhm.
like pull himself up, and they could, you know, and
A
then
better
with
yeah.
hopefully the help of Juiced, used to
Yeah.
maybe lend a wizened hand, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
just be
where do you
another
think that
motivating
relationship is gonna
factor.
go? I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know.
to
Yeah,
agree,
it's
I think Richter needed a better emotional trigger than what he got for his, like, spoiler alert, power awakening, which was
yeah,
amazing. Like, I loved it. All of that
yeah,
scene was so freaking cool, but I didn't feel like they really threatened him enough. I felt like he should have been broken down a little bit more. So,
yeah. Well, because if you take this is a very Dragon Ball Z moment, except the difference is in Dragon Ball Z, someone will be actively, so if you have Gohan, and someone will be actively torturing his dad, and
mhm,
that will send him over and awaken a new power in him, and he powers up. This was just the mere threat of,
mhm,
we're gonna come for your other buddies here, and then, oh, that's it. I need to be able to protect these people I love so I can do this
right.
now, versus like, no, if someone was maybe Annette was really getting tortured, which, by the way,
Right?
Annette, nothing like in the game, is Richter's girlfriend in the game. So,
Oh,
so that would be kind of an interesting thing if they had some sort of relationship building,
yeah.
and then she's captured, even though she goes out hot-headed against his advice or whatever,
Right.
and captured, being tortured. Now my power awakens, and we go
Yeah,
there.
if they're doing like they're playing a long game like frenemies to lovers or like
Yeah,
opposites attract or whatever, they're really
very
playing a
long
long
game.
game because I got none of that.
Mhm.
I got
Yeah,
0 chemistry all
right.
even though I mean and it can be done because obviously Olrox and Mizrak, like the second they were on screen together, I was like, tension. This is gonna happen. Um, so you clearly can do it, but they didn't. I got none of that.
Mhm.
I got siblings fighting, not
Right,
romantic interests.
right. Yep. Um, I am searching for characters that I'm really invested in this series. Like, I remember in the last couple
Mm,
seasons, like, I was interested in all, like, the female band of vampires. They were all
yeah,
cool in one way or another. Like, you had the 2 that were gonna leave, and they were fighting together, and that one was super powerful and big, and, like, is that gonna work? They're gonna get torn apart.
mhm,
You had the young one that was, like, playing the game with, "I'm going to win over the
yeah,
affections of, what's his face," and,
yep,
you had the leader that's, like, trying to pull everyone together. It just it I was invested in every one of their stories as much
mhm,
as the main characters, despite them
mhm,
being the bad guys, and I thought the
yeah,
relationships amongst them was really interesting, kind of how they be
yeah,
vying for, like, for power and different things, and,
mhm,
just really interesting. And then the main characters as well, like,
yeah,
you get sort of, I just there was a lot to like there in terms of
mhm,
character drama as well as the overall plot. And in this, I'm not really I'm not invested in any of this.
sure,
Like, I
sure.
think it's kind of cool, the revelation now that with the Abbots is the father
Ooh, yes,
Maria,
yeah.
that's cool, but
We got 2 back
I
to back, like, whammies, like, daddy
yes,
reveal and granddaddy reveal, both of which I did
right,
not see coming.
right. Um, what do you think of those? And
I
are
liked
you
them.
invested in these characters so far?
I'm invested in certain characters. I liked both of the reveals because, like I said, didn't see them coming. Although, like looking back, the way Tara spoke about the abbot, like there was
Yeah,
a lot there. She kept referencing like he helped me so much,
yeah,
and Maria's always been like everybody knows like the clergy sleeps around. So there were a lot of hints. Now that I think
sure,
about it, and that was actually something I thought the show did really well. Like, they totally set it up and still it was like, "What? That's her
yeah,
daddy?" So that could get really interesting. And I'm hoping it actually makes me care about those characters more because they're they're okay right now. They're kind of surface level, interesting, but I don't feel deeply. They're, like, searching to figure out a family dynamic could be very interesting.
sure,
Um I would say the only people that I really care about in the show, I'm actually starting to really care for Richter in these last couple of episodes because he sort of like meets his grandfather, tells him how disappointed he is. He's like, you're crap. Like, I didn't even know you existed. What were you doing?" And then he suddenly develops his own powers and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I don't need you. Like, I thought I was like a little boy searching for an identity and searching for things, but I just remembered I'm a fucking Belmont and I'm awesome." So if he kind of like grows into his own confidence, but then also develops a relationship that isn't like traditional, you know, young kid needs his granddad to like show him the ropes, but they could still have a little bit of that element. It could be fun. It could be complex and deep. I could get into that.
Okay.
The other reason I like Richter is because I love Olrox. And I think that whatever confrontation is being set up there could get really interesting as well. I liked hearing
Mhm.
about Olrox's backstory, um, the reason why he went after Richter's mom, classic reason, but he told the story beautifully, and I was emotionally invested in that. I like that he also told Mizrak, he's like, "I don't love you. I'm not gonna turn you into a vampire. Get out of here." So he's just his own fun character. So those are the people I care about. I also care about our main vampire messiah, or I want to care about her. She's been off screen a lot.
Right.
We've gotten like really tantalizing hints. Now she arrived like a beautiful, evil Cinderella on our screen in a carriage of white horses, and she could
Mhm.
just be awesome. And I really want her to be.
I hope so, because I felt a little disappointed upon with the entrance. I thought, "Oh, the visuals
Really?
cool at first," but I didn't really like the little speech, she kinda
Yeah,
gave
I
to
mean,
the
I
air.
didn't need that, I guess. I kinda glossed over that. I just love the visual. Like I said, she was like this dark Cinderella rolling up, and she's
Mhm.
like, "Ooh, there's real fear here. I'm so tired of, like, people already knowing who I am and not having the good sense to be afraid." It's, like, stale. Ugh,
Hmm.
I dug it.
I wanna see her be really scary. It's kinda like the
Yeah.
power you got from Dracula, I mean, the
Mhm.
name brings along with it a weight, but the voice behind it, the anger at times, and the power he showed, we need to see why this
Mhm.
woman is the Messiah, you know?
Right.
Drank the blood of Ra, or of the daughter of Ra, or something like that,
Sekhmet.
you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's like, that's
Yeah.
cool, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I really want to like her as well. I just, we gotta see that happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, something epic needs to happen. Like, she's gotten a slow roll, she's gotten some scary moments. We've got, like I said, just glimpses, snippets of her as a
mhm,
villain. Now we need something really badass.
mhm.
Just spooky and horrifying.
She should finally kill off, the singer boy
Edward.
the gruesome way. Yeah, get rid of him.
Well, he's a night creature, so
I know, he's gonna disobey or something like that, and just.
yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see what the deal is with this, like, army of night creatures that the abbot is supposed to create. Like, what I mean, they seem to be going real slow. There's only, like, 8 of them on screen ever, and it sounds like they
Yeah,
need
and
an entire army of, like, thousands. So,
yeah, and do
is there,
they
like, a
is
massacre
vampires so
coming?
powerful? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, there's
I don't
some sort
know.
of arrangement, something that's happening. I don't get it, but, like, we need to get that speeded up here. We need to see an
Mhm.
army. We need to have a horrifying can't believe I'm, like, advocating for this. We need to have, like, a horrific massacre
Yeah.
so that, we get the fear cemented of the vampire messiah's arrival plus bodies to make night creatures. Like
Yeah, think of when in earlier seasons, like the first season of Castlevania, how the city was just of like Wallachia was terrorized by
mhm.
night beasts, and they're just every night they be coming and they just murdering
Yep.
everybody out, and around. So yeah, the threat's not there for the people yet. I think for the abbot, I would be more interested if maybe we saw him, because I still don't buy a clergyman making this deal. I still don't buy it. It's like you're basically saying like, okay, the savages, the peasants, the backwards people or whatever are they're going to throw us out. We're going to lose our power. They don't have the
Mhm.
faith in God and in the structure of things, and so we have to, in order to maintain this structure, this hierarchy,
Mhm.
we're going to have to align with the devil. I mean, you're choosing, but if you have to choose between sins, maybe you choose the lesser, and like
Mhm.
going literally with the demons. I don't know. I still don't know if I buy that. So I'd like to see maybe his fall, or like why he was threatened
Yeah.
to this or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
We need his flashback now because honestly, we've gotten a lot of talk from the revolutionaries and we've seen action from Annette's point of view in like her flashback of the island. I can't remember the name of it now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
San Domingo,
San Domingo.
San
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
something
on the
like that.
right track.
Yeah,
But so like they and like the abbot's talking about like, oh, they, burn villages and they burn down the houses of God and they tear things down. We didn't see him experience that. We didn't
right,
see his parish being threatened in a very real or material way.
right.
So we need his, turning point. We need his moment. We need his like, I feel threatened because a lot of it's been talk up till this point.
Mhm.
So, like,
Yeah.
where was the urgency for him to make that deal?
Yeah, no, it's true. Let's see the buildings being taken down. Let's see the revolutionaries making ground.
Right,
we have no nothing there. It feels
right.
the show feels small yet. We've barely
Mhm.
moved. Often the main vampires are riding by their house that we can just
Right.
follow. It's like wow, just um, so I don't know. That versus
Yeah,
like
we
last couple seasons where we were like looking at the map of
scale.
Europe and like
Mhm.
how are we going to armies are going to conquer and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a good impulse to not try to immediately copy that scale, but we need to move a little bit bigger now. We've been introduced to the characters, we've gotten the backstory, that's really great, but we need the larger picture. We need larger threats. And we need them
Mhm.
from multiple fronts. We need the revolutionaries to be a threat so we understand the abbot's deal. We need Elizabeth Bathory to be a big threat because she needs to like prove she's the big bad vampire messiah. Like, we need night creatures to be an army for whatever is happening for her plans. We
Mhm.
just need larger picture here.
Yep.
And we only have 2 episodes. So,
Mhm.
how much are we really gonna get accomplished?
Mhm. So I have to ask you about this.
Sure.
You put this comment in you here. It says, "Faith is order. This is the problem I have with
Mm,
terms faith and religion being used interchangeably. Faith is
yeah.
believing in the unknown." Yeah. So give me what you're talking about here.
Yeah, so it's Olrox and Mizrax's, first interaction here, where Olrox is like, "What are you doing here? Like, why are you making deals with the devil and you're on the side of the vampire messiah?" And Mizrak is like, "No, like the reason I'm doing this is because of faith. Like faith grounds people. Faith is what, they reach for, what they need, and faith brings order." And he quotes a piece of scripture here. And to me, faith is the unknown. Faith is like the mysterious element. You have faith because you don't know something. You believe in it, but you don't know it. And that to me is where having faith differs from having religion. Religion is the organization, it's the structure, it's here's the story, here are the players, here's, the order of events of whatever you believe in. And so that's I immediately he said that and I had a problem with it because to me faith can never be order because order is knowing. Order is organization. Organization is structure and rigidity. And that's nothing what faith is to me.
Okay. Okay.
So
Sure.
it just struck me because that's kind of how I feel when people say like I have faith, but I feel like sometimes people say I have faith when they mean I have religion because
Yeah.
religion is like the organization, the structure, the story.
Yeah. A lot of those terms definitely get kind of it's easy to interchange or intermingle them. Like what do you think? I had this debate recently, and um, do you feel there's a difference between having faith in something, and believing in something?
I think word choice wise, there's like a connotation that comes with belief that tends itself toward you believe in something because you feel you have proof or knowledge of it. Whereas faith still to me is you don't have the certainty, you don't have reliable, concrete evidence or proof or whatever, kind of tangible thing that you can feel or see or touch out or believe in that way. Um, so yeah, so they're close, they're cousins of each other, but I feel that they
Mhm.
differ slightly in the way that we choose to use them.
Yeah. Choosing to use them part because I was trying to look up, some definitions, and it's like there are so many definitions, and
Mhm.
depending on the one you pick, can pretty overlapping of the other.
Absolutely.
Um, so I guess the way I've always looked at it, and coming away from this debate, I guess I'd never been confronted with this idea, but I came away with it still thinking what I did.
Mhm.
Um, it, I've always looked at it as faith is the choosing. You choose to have faith. You can't choose what you believe. Faith is like an act of choosing to have faith in something with or
Mhm.
without evidence for that being the case.
Mhm.
Whereas believing is more of a state of mind that is outside of your control. I know in language we often might confuse the two, like, oh, I believe Ashley's gonna go and do this or whatever, and I'm choosing to believe that because but if I literally do believe it, it's because it's an evidence-based thing that my mind is saying that is the case, and I have
Mhm.
evidence for it. I don't have to choose to believe it. I just do. Um, Whereas if I have faith in something, I maybe don't need any evidence really. I'm
Mhm.
choosing to, like, it's like choosing to trust someone, even if you don't necessarily know them well yet.
Mhm.
It's like, okay,
Mhm.
you got to bring this back to me in 15 minutes or we're going to have trouble. I'm choosing to trust you, and you
Mhm.
don't necessarily trust them, but you're choosing in that moment to that you're going to make the leap. And that's
Mhm.
faith. Whereas believing is like, "Ugh, he's gonna bring it back in 15 minutes, of course," you know?
Yeah, I think we're kind of talking about like similar concepts where like faith is, the unknown and
Mhm.
belief can be grounded in evidence.
Right.
Even yeah. I don't know. I got a little tripped up when you were talking about like voluntary versus involuntary, but I think for those pieces, that's for me, like faith is the unknown and belief is like I have evidence of something that I choose
Right.
to believe in.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's where yeah, and that goes back to like the root of my issue with this like conversation and like Mizrak being like faith is order. Well, to me, faith is not
Yeah.
order. Faith is
Right.
the
I
unknown.
think you're right.
So,
He should have said religion is order. Yes, that
mhm.
makes more sense. Yes. But maybe, sometimes, someone's faith brings order to one's life because
Yeah.
having that faith creates an understanding for them, or
Mhm.
a
It creates a
peace, or
grounding.
yeah. So
And I get that concept. It's just sort of like I feel like the way that he was speaking was religion brings these things.
mhm. Yep. Yeah. Okay, well, I just saw that in here. I thought that was interesting.
Mhm.
Let's see. Anything else we haven't mentioned here? Not still spoken?
Um, I don't
Dressed too
know.
modernly bugs me. Yeah, still in the
Oh, yeah.
vampire. I don't know what
Volta.
the It's
I don't
weird.
know why she's in, like, leather bustier something in, like,
Mm.
17th century France, like, it's bothering
She's
me.
she's cool enough, but, ombre
Yeah.
hair, what?
I
Let's go.
it's just
We
yeah, no, it's yeah, she just sticks out like a sore thumb because it's just,
Yep,
out of step with the time, and it's really bothering me.
yep.
But she finally kinda gets with it and dresses like, I don't know, some kinda like page boy, which she basically is,
Yeah,
but
she, like, cleans
it's only
up
like the
for her
last
master.
yeah, it's only like those last 2 episodes where she's like, "Oh, gotta get all fancied up for the Messiah."
Yep. I have a couple more things just to point out. It's cool that Ian Glenn, my boy Jorah Mormont,
Mm,
is,
yeah.
juiced. That's fun. He
Yes.
good voice. Franca Potente, I don't know how you say her last name, but she's in The Born Identity. She's also in
Yep.
Taboo. I like her.
Mhm.
I think she's the Messiah, not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Even though
And,
the Messiah sounds like Famke Janssen, I think,
okay, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
from Bond, for sure. There's, like, an
great.
element there.
You know, I learned a trick in judo, speaking of Bond and Famke Janssen, her character, Xenia Onatop. I learned a
Mhm.
trick that if she was doing that to me, I could get out of it and immediately. So, just,
Nice. So go back in time and tell
yeah,
Pierce Brosnan,
yeah.
"I got this, yo."
Yeah. Let's see. Um, okay, so, you gonna say something?
Sorry, no, I was just thinking about, like, you're talking about the voice actors here. What do you think is gonna happen with Juiced, Used, however you say his name? I mean, is he gonna go through some sort of, awakening of his own, get back his powers? Do you feel like that's on the table? Or is he just still like, "Hey, it's kinda cool that we met. You're still a broken down old man. I might learn some things from you, and then bye."
Well, I have to say, one of my favorite pieces of Castlevania art ever
Mm,
features this guy.
okay.
And, he is such a cool looking character in the game, and, it's sad to see him being put in this state
Like
of
this.
like, like, "Dawn, I've just been hiding out," whatever. And, a very Luke Skywalker sort of character, shall I say.
Mhm.
And,
Accurate.
uh,
Right.
yeah, so I would like to see a turnaround, but I think 2 episodes is too quick to do it. So
Yep.
I think if he's gonna stick around and help and participate, I don't think he should get his powers back probably this season.
Sure.
Uh, Maybe some
That's
or
fair.
other ordeal has to happen or something for that to happen, like, make it meaningful.
Sure.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
he can clearly use the whip for now.
Yes. Alan, that's not the picture I'm talking about, but yes, that's him, and, Castlevania art's so cool, so good. Um, let's see. Well, there's some
Speaking
other
of
stuff
art,
that
I kind
yeah.
of like some of the departures they've done. Like, a lot of this has
Yeah.
been, like, very recognizable Castlevania style, like, carryover from the OG. But they've done some cool scenes, especially in Annette's flashbacks, where we got a little, like, blurry and kind of more conceptual,
Yep.
like some of the fight scenes we'd gotten in the late seasons of Castlevania, and I was just really kinda digging it. There's been some different, I don't know, different shots, different styles, like, I do like the limited experimentation, so we're not totally divorcing ourselves from what feels grounded in this universe, but we're taking some risks. So props
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. Um, this would be a little, off color, I suppose. What's the name of the guy, that had sex with all rocks? What's
Mizrak?
his name? Mizrak. Do you think he went immediately and repented for the butt sex? Or do you think,
I saw that
like, he's like,
comment.
"Well, I'm already made a deal with demons. I guess this is not as bad as that." Like,
Yeah, I don't quite know what to think of his character.
yeah, like,
Cuz he seems to feel like there's a need for this deal, but like how far is he in it?
yeah,
He seems to hate it. And so maybe yeah, he's already like, I don't know, like I just have a lot of a self-hatred for, you know, myself for like being gay in the church, making it, letting the abbot make a deal with the devil and being like, I can get behind this. So,
I'll tell you what
yeah,
else you can get
he
behind.
Olrax.
Yeah.
No, Olrax. No, I don't know. I think Olrax would be top.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, from a, like, literal vampire strength, that would make sense, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But, he's a pretty boy. He's a pretty boy.
I mean, I know, but he also seemed to like initiate. I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe it's
that's
even.
true.
Maybe it's
Yep,
even because they both had some like, I'm gonna push you up against that wall with no fear moments in their
that's true.
conversation.
Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah, no, I don't think he went and repented
I
because I
don't
think
get a
it's
sorrow from him though, like a remorse. Like, I don't get like a I'm
no,
down on myself. I
he
don't
just
know.
hates everything. Like everything makes him angry. Do
Hmm.
you know what I mean? He seems like
Hmm.
a very always simmering anger kind of
Sure,
character. Everything just makes
sure.
him low key mad and he has to do what he has to do, but it's all making him very angry that all of this reality is forced on him. And he's just going to
Yeah,
be like, well, I'm going to channel all of that into I'm somehow using this to save the church.
yeah. Hmm. Well, it'd be interesting to know a little bit more about him. See what makes him tick.
Yes. Yes, there needs to be, I think, a general church backstory now. We need to know about
Hmm.
the abbot. We need to know about Mizrak. Like, what is this deal? Who is the Forge Master? Circling all
Yes.
the way back around. Who is the Forge Master? What are they doing? Because at the end of the this set of episodes, we got not only Edward speaking, but uh his jailer, who is also a night
Right.
creature,
Who
speaking. And he was like, do you
is
remember?
again? What's that?
Well, he was like Edward was like, "Do you remember anything of yourself?" And he was like, "Yeah, like I sort of have a memory of this." So yeah, so like whatever this is, it's spreading or multiple people, creatures are experiencing it.
I thought that was again another kind of, it's sort of a convenient coincidence because I think that night creature is the young man that went missing, um, in the
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
beginning,
yeah, yeah. Yep,
that,
yep, yep.
what's her name was Maria was calling out. She's like, "Oh,
Yep.
he's gone," or whatever. I think that's him. So,
That would make a lot of sense.
yeah.
Yeah. So really, really I feel like the best explanation we get is the forge master, whoever they are, is either making a mistake or doing something deliberately.
Sabotage somehow. Mhm.
Yeah, sabotage. So we need to know
Yeah.
who this is and what their deal is.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, last thing I'll say is, like, I think in general, I'm enjoying it. I just, it's not reaching the heights of, last couple seasons for
Yeah.
me. I and the other thing
Fair.
is, when season 1 came out, it was kind of widely agreed to be one of, if not the best video game adaptation ever. Taking a video game and turning into an animated series or whatever, a lot of people really approved. And I think
Mhm.
now, for we've been moving this way more, but I think now for sure with Castlevania Nocturne, you really have to look at it as Castlevania inspired. It's
Yeah.
inspired by Castlevania, but and I'm not I like Castlevania. I love the art, and I love the music, and I played a few of the games, but I'm not big into the lore, so I don't know all this stuff for sure. But it's just deviated heavily,
Mhm.
from a lot of things and really added on in places that, maybe wouldn't expect that
Sure.
it's no longer an adaptation in my mind. It's just here's this thing that's inspired by the Castlevania
Mhm.
franchise. So,
It's adjacent, yeah.
yeah, yep. But yeah. Well, um, we're gonna have to get your husband's take on this.
Mhm.
Phil, gonna get his take on this. So hopefully we can
Finally.
have one big, yeah, one big wrap up crazy episode of the last two, get everybody's overall thoughts and see how it stacks up in total. I like that the season's not super long, like so we can get a fast paced, concise thing. But like you said, we got like a lot of room to cover now in the next two episodes. So we'll
Mhm.
see if they just leave us on a terrible cliffhanger and nothing gets done, or if we have some sort of conclusion before moving on.
Right. Right. I mean, we've seen Castlevania before do a lot in short episodes. I feel like
Hmm.
the last couple of episodes of season 4 in particular, like, really moved.
Yes.
So we can do it. I hope they do. I don't mind being left on a cliffhanger, but I mind if I feel like I'm left on a cliffhanger and still nothing of importance or nothing large scale happened.
Hmm. Do you think we'll get threads from the previous Castlevania? Because that stuff ended with like Dracula was around, and then there was, I think, the guy that
Yeah.
always disappeared looking for his daughter. Like, does he show up again
Yeah.
somewhere? Does he
I
has he pulled a Forge Master through in the portal or?
totally. Yeah, I for half a second thought Used
Oh,
was gonna be
yeah.
him. Like half a
Mhm,
se I
I
was
can
like,
see that.
and
Yeah.
then it very clearly wasn't, even before he, like, explained who he was, I was like, "Obviously, you're not him." But
Yep.
just for a minute, I was like, "That would be
Yep.
really cool."
Yep.
So, I hope so. I hope we get, like, slim I don't need, like, a direct sequel happening, I don't need, like, people to come and, like, take over and whatever, but I think some threads would be cool.
Yep.
I mean, we've
Yep.
referenced it enough, like, they've obviously thrown out, like, Trevor and Sypha, their
Yeah.
names a bunch, so we could get somewhere.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's Castlevania Nocturne, episodes
Mhm,
3 through 6. Everybody make sure you follow us on the social media things, Facebook, X, YouTube, here on Twitch. Um,
mhm,
Subscribe, like, share, follow, all that sort of thing. MJ Honeybee, thank you very much for being in the chat. MJ Honeybee does Dead by Daylight streams on Twitch 3 days a week. She's been off for a while as she recovers and gets strong again. Hopefully, she'll be back soon. But in the meantime, you can still go and check out either her YouTube or Twitch and can watch the videos of the past and enjoy them.
mhm,
So, um, Track Mouse 34.
mhm.
That's our friend Mike, and that's who I had the debate with about faith and belief. So
Sure.
to see if he can convince you otherwise someday or something like that. But Track Mouse 34 YouTube, he has racing videos, and you should go and look at those. They're fun to watch for sure. Killing the Flower, they wrote our theme song. They'll be on streaming services like Apple Music and Spotify. They're also on Instagram and YouTube. And I think that's all the promotion things. Us just make sure,
Mhm,
we're in podcast directories, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The video version is available on Spotify if you're into that. And if you use Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. We much appreciate it. So that's that, spitting out all those things. I apologize again for my not recording the last episode.
Uh,
And
that text
hopefully
chain
never do it
afterwards
again.
was hilarious.
Oh my God. See, that's why we have an Alan. That's why we have Alan here.
Yep.
Make sure you don't do. And I was like, oh, this chat is quiet. Like, oh, Melissa didn't make it tonight, and some of that. It's like, oh, there's nobody
All the
else in the
clues were
chat.
there.
Yeah. And stupid. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, that's been Popcast on the Rocks, episode 151. Thanks for joining us. And Andrea, thank you once again for being here. We'll see you next
Of
time.
course. As always, cheers, everybody.